welcome to you. My name's Dale and this is Dale's Addiction. Today's video is continuing a conversation that my friend Deb from the channel Wild Unfiltered started and was then continued on by my other friend Lisa from Luxury and Life in the Middle. The context of that conversation was really around hate watchers on YouTube, and I've had notes in my phone for quite some time, which is what I tend to do when there's a theme around comments that I get or people I talk to on the DMs or, you know, other YouTube videos that I watch, and I just kind of add to them. And after I saw Lisa's video and then started to think about my notes and what videos I was going to make, I went, I feel like it's the right time to add to that conversation now because it's already been started. Now, I think Deb and Lisa both talked about, you know, people that I guess leave negative comments, people that hate watch on unboxings, that I think Deb mentioned people that give feedback on how much she mentions her friends on YouTube and why that's the case. Is it cross-promotional? Is it you know, clout chasing? Is it everybody, you know, trying to build each other's channels? And just kind of discussing why that gets on people's nerves so much. In my notes, I'll tell you what I've got here and then I'll kind of explain them. $20,000 in bum bags, New York shopping vlogs, everyday costs, shame disclaimers, Balenciaga, Dior. Is it inspiring when people say I was this and now I'm that? Or is it triumphing? Is it helpful now when you're the same age, seeing someone tell you how they got to where they are? Why do we watch so much content that gaslights us, intentionally or unintentionally? Why do we hate watch or comment with judgment? Is it feedback or is it just criticism or projection? And then I've got a little comment which I'm actually going to start with first, and then I'm going to unpack some of those dot points that I have here in my notes. Luxury YouTube is a niche. It's a niche. It's a very small part of the YouTube community, but it's also a very passionate part of the YouTube community, let's put it that way. And people have opinions and people watch for various reasons. I am aware, because I've been told in person, that people watch my channel and particularly unboxings because they get a dopamine hit from watching an unboxing without having to spend any money, and they quite enjoy the whole reveal process. It kind of puts a skip in their day and then they move on. And I had never thought about it like that because I'm a consumer. I watch unboxings for I want to understand what it's all about. I want to see the first impressions. I want to see if it's something I want to look at more closely. So we all experience things very differently. I have subscribers that I chat to on Instagram. Typically it's because they've reached out to me, because otherwise I wouldn't have known that they existed, right? And that makes sense because I'm the one with the channel. And despite all of those points that I mentioned earlier, which I will unpack, some of the things that people are dealing with in their personal lives, but still watch my videos and still leave generous, sometimes funny, insightful and thoughtful comments, are dealing with significant things in their lives. And they are not minimizing what we do here, talking about our luxury handbag collections. I have subscribers who have become widows in the past 24 months, several of them actually, who love luxury handbags, have experienced extreme loss, feel disconnected from their lives, and are looking for ways to connect on a basis that is a welcome distraction, being their authentic self and not feeling like they'll be judged or frowned upon by other members of their friends or family for still pursuing something that's meaningful to them, even though they're in a period of grief and mourning. And there are at least 3 women that I talk to who are all in that space. And to them, I say, Hello and welcome, and thanks so much for being here. You know who you are. I have subscribers who have traumatic health concerns and who have been battling health for many years. At least a couple of people who've been in quite life-threatening situations, who tune in to luxury YouTube as an escape, who enjoy the ridiculous conversations we have when we open boxes in front of people on a camera, review bags, talk about what we love, talk about what we hate, give our opinions on, current collections. If these people can watch and enjoy, it always gives me comfort that we're not so bloody crazy to enjoy this, crazy addiction that we have. People watch me who've loved and lost their pets, as have I over the years. They're still in a sense of loss. They still want to pay tribute to their animals, and they do it by, creating, I guess, or like, what do you call it? They purchase a piece that has meaning for them in the moment. And people might say, oh, it's a weird thing to do to go and spend thousands of dollars on a luxury handbag or a piece of jewellery to remember your lost pet. I don't think it is. I think people symbolise important parts of their life and important people in their life in different ways, particularly when they're gone. And people share that here. And again, if they're experiencing that kind of challenge in their life, but they still tune in and they don't hate watch, and they can still be generous and kind and thoughtful and funny, these hate watchers, I've just got to wonder. There are people who hate their bodies, feel alienated from their friends and family, and they still tune in. They tune in because there's something that we have in common. And I know that when I show, say, clothing or fashion content and what have you, I know that there are people watching who are way smaller than me, and yeah, I worry about the judgment and that there are people who are the same size as me and go, wow, I never thought of wearing something that way or using that shape or putting that together. And there are people that are larger than me and still get inspiration. And to find that you don't have to be the same or be in the same body or having the same experiences to still appreciate content is kind of the message that I wanted to share here. One of my fabulous subscribers, going back to these dot points, confessed to me a few months back that she was so in love with the Louis Vuitton bum bag that she bought all three. She didn't know which one to purchase first. She bought two at the same time, then she went back and bought the third one. She said, oh my God, I'm a school teacher and I've spent $20,000 in bum bags. Isn't that hilarious? I'm crazy, I'm mad, but I love them. And I love that we can have those conversations together. I think that it's not just us people on YouTube that are pursuing, our love of luxury. It's just that we have a mechanism to talk about it. There are so many people that don't. And to the hate watchers, know that you're here as a minority. The rest of us, we have all drunk the Kool-Aid and we love it here. And we love talking to and sharing with each other about those loves. There were lots of comments about the New York shopping vlogs and how there was a financial crisis and how out of touch it is and what have you. And when I talk about the New York shopping vlogs, I'm talking about my fellow YouTube friends who were all over in New York earlier this year. I'm like, why frown on somebody else's fabulous time? Everybody has different seasons in their life. People are prioritizing different things in their life at different times. If it's going to hurt you, why do you watch it? If you think it's wasteful and consumeristic and materialistic, fair enough, that's your opinion. Why are you watching? The shame disclaimers. Talking about the fact that I loved a design from Balenciaga, I had people announce their departure like it was an airport. And it was an interesting situation because I feel like those people really don't know who I am. I was talking about the design of the bag. I do not, by talking about the design of the bag and that I like it and I'm considering buying it, therefore condone behaviour or alleged behaviour or proven behaviour by people at the house and, in caring, drawing that connection. you better have a bloody clean slate about what you buy and who you buy it from before you start pointing fingers or throwing stones when you live in a glass house. There are so many things. If you buy from Amazon, if you buy from Temu, like seriously, you cannot talk. Yes, this is a bigger and more well-known house, and therefore people who have money to spend at those places should be more responsible with where they spend money. I think we should all be more responsible with where we spend money, and I mentioned that in my kind of recap of the Dior scandal as well, that it's not luxury handbags that we buy occasionally that are the big problem, it's the everyday items. But people can justify not being ethical about everyday items because of the financial crisis. Again, we can justify anything. I think the point I'm trying to make here is that if you come to a luxury YouTube channel and you want to talk about the financial crisis, you want to talk about hardships being experienced across the world, you want to talk about materialism and consumerism and the environment and ethical debates and politics, this is not the place for it. We come here to escape and enjoy this tiny little part of our lives. It's not our whole lives, but it's a small part, and it makes a big difference to be able to share it with people who have a similar enjoyment and connection. Some of the other comments that I had down here is it inspiring when people say, this is how I got to where I am? And I'm always kind of conscious of that when people ask me in Q&As, oh, you know, how did you become so successful? And I'm like, success is a really subjective perspective. From the outside, I might look successful. In my version, am I successful? My version of life, semi. Does that mean that I am, you know, being humble? No. Does it mean that I'm probably not aware of how many privileges that I have compared to what other people who don't have them might want? Yeah, probably, and that's something to work on. I think we all have our blind spots. I do struggle here on YouTube when people say, this is what I've done for the last 20 years, and I imagine people listening to that who are, say, in the same part of their life as that person, and that's why I always provide a disclaimer when I do it, thinking, well, I can't go back 20 years and start again. So how helpful is that? And I think as a viewer, you've got to be kind of careful about what content you watch in that space. It's kind of related to the beginning of this video, but a little bit different. There's content that I don't watch because I don't find it inspires me, and I don't find that it gives me a sense of worth and value, and I just don't watch it. And I'm not going to talk to what that is here, but all I'll say is if it doesn't make me feel good about myself, I'm not watching it. And I know that by the thumbnail, I know that by the content, and sometimes you know it by the name of the channel, right? So I would just say, don't gaslight yourself. It's not that a YouTuber is gaslighting you. They're just telling a story. They're just sharing, you know, their history or their journey, whatever journey they may be on, whether it's an H journey or a weight loss journey. But if that's not something that really appeals to you, or it devalues you and where you're in at your life according to you, then don't gaslight yourself. Don't make yourself feel bad by watching content that doesn't serve you. And I think a lot of nasty comments or maybe passive aggression comes from us watching content that's not good for us, and that's our responsibility, not the YouTubers. And then that brings me to the final point about disclaimers. I think anytime you have to make a disclaimer about, I realise that this is, you know, not everyone can do this, or I realise that some people are still upset about Dior or Balenciaga, or I realise that, you know, this is a first world problem, or they go on and on and on. I mean, I put a little note on every video that has exotics in it because I want to be respectful to people who aren't a fan. But I think the reality is most people see that and they watch anyway. For me, that's just being respectful. It's not making this an excuse or justifying why I have purchased what I've purchased. I don't have to go around telling everybody that I do buy this or I don't buy that and why. But I do just make a note saying, hey, there are exotics featured in this video, FYI. Not, I'm sorry, or if this offends you, you know, my apologies. Just don't click and don't watch. So I guess my part of this conversation is really around what's our 50% as a viewer? How much content are we watching that really doesn't make us feel good about ourselves? And then what do we do about those feelings? Do we kind of tap them into the comments section and try and bring that person down a peg or two? That there are people out there who are suffering from loss and health and financial issues and have struggles with their body, and they still tune in because this is their escape and they love it. And they're not looking to project any blame or ill will toward a YouTuber talking about buying a luxury handbag. And if they're not, I don't think there's an excuse for anyone to, personally. So that's my 2 bobs worth on this conversation. I'd be interested to know what you think of all of this, you know, chit-chat, mishmash, vomit of thoughts. There's been circling around my head and on my phone notes for quite a while. Let me know in the comment section down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.